Mapping the human body as a massive infrastructure network places the critical coordinates within the freezing gastrointestinal tract. This is your biological polar research station. Dysbiosis occurs when this station faces a critical shortage of specialized microscopic personnel. Without a sufficient crew, the base enters a state of operational failure. As the population drops, thermal generation fails. Without that heat, the structural walls of the station rapidly freeze, contract, and develop deep cracks. The mission directive is an emergency external drop of fresh biological operators to reinforce the deep base before these cracks lead to total structural failure. Because this central tract governs the host's entire systemic health, a localized breach guarantees a facility-wide collapse if immediate logistical intervention is not authorized. That authorized intervention is an expedition bundle, governed by strict operational rules set by ISAP, the global authority for these gut health missions. The payload consists of two distinct components: the probiotics, our specialized living personnel, and the prebiotics, which are the high-calorie survival crates they require for the mission. These assets must be deployed together. Launching personnel into a hostile environment without their required fiber rations ensures the mission will fail before colonization can begin. This matrix compares delivery methods. Standard complementary drops, where crew and crates are deployed separately, yield variable success. Synergistic deployments are different. Personnel jump with custom food packs strapped to their backs, providing immediate fuel to survive the stomach acid blizzard. Deploying living personnel without precisely matched caloric support is a waste of logistical resources. Once the payload clears the drop zone, it enters the upper levels of the research station to establish the first deployment vectors. Lactobacillus units deploy at the upper base entrance. They secrete acid to establish a rapid response security perimeter that blocks invading pathogens from entering the facility. The secondary payload drops further down into the most extreme, oxygen-deprived sectors of the station, anchoring directly into the dark, thick structural walls. These deep base engineers are the bifidobacterium strains. They work without oxygen, tasked exclusively with fixing wall leaks and reinforcing the facility foundation. Securing the station requires these distinct teams of personnel stationed at exact depth intervals throughout the tract. When heavy cargo survival crates arrive at the deep base, they can only be accessed and processed by the engineers through their specialized metabolic capabilities. The engineers break down these crates through a biological protocol known as fermentation. This fuel log tracks the conversion of survival crates into three primary outputs: butyrate, acetate, and propionate. Butyrate acts as the magic coal for the facility. It is the primary fuel source strictly allocated for the station's thermal generators. This thermal output directly warms and fortifies the colonic epithelial cells that make up the base walls. This continuous heat prevents intestinal permeability, fusing structural cracks shut to keep the cold air of inflammation out of the station. Structural integrity depends entirely on localized thermal power generated through microbial fermentation. With the walls secured, the station focuses on the primary communication relay linking the deep tract to the host's global headquarters. This radio tower transmission line is the vagus nerve. When the deep base is powered and secure, this telemetry graph shows stable data packets of GABA moving along the nerve toward the brain. These smooth transmissions are the opposite of the frantic panic signals generated when the station is in a state of dysbiosis. Stable GABA telemetry allows the brain headquarters to maintain a state of calm and functional relaxation. The host's cognitive clarity and stress levels directly correlate to the stability and thermal output of the intestinal base. The logistical reach of the base extends to the host's remote physical support columns, where we measure bone mineral density. These pillars face a chemical threat from parathyroid hormone, or PTH, which acts as an acidic rust that corrodes the metal supports. This degradation, known as bone resorption, leads to the structural weakening of osteoporosis. To counter this, the crew in the deep base regulates systemic signaling by producing short-chain fatty acids and metabolites that enter the host's circulation. These metabolic signals reach the remote pillars and inhibit the bone-melting action of PTH, neutralizing the rust and keeping the metal supports thick. The resilience of the host's peripheral infrastructure is actively maintained by these deep-base logistic defense mechanisms. A global tactical review of the host confirms the success of the synergistic deployment. Base temperature has normalized and the colonic epithelial walls show zero signs of permeability. Remote success metrics are also entirely stable. The vagus nerve telemetry is clear, and bone resorption has been halted. Because every research station has different architectural needs, a standard drop may not address the specific wear and tear of every host. While synergistic drops offer high success rates, future operational dominance depends on identifying precise, individual structural deficits. Mission strategists now use a biological scanning protocol to map the operational zone. This is metagenomics. It identifies the exact personnel deficits currently affecting a specific station. This data allows for personalized medicine, where the expedition bundle is built to match the specific needs of the host station. The future logistical standard relies on custom engineering survival bundles, mathematically matched to the metabolic gaps of the target base. Ultimately, the absolute best defense against systemic biological collapse is a rigorously custom-built and precisely targeted logistical deployment.